What do you do, Angela? And tell me a little bit about your business.
So I'm an integrative productivity coach, and I've been coaching for 17 years. So in starting out with productivity, people come to me and say, you know what, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. And I'm not sure why I'm not doing it. And so what I've realized is that over the years of working with people is that productivity is rooted in emotion. And it's what we feel inside that determines whether or not we're going to get up and go to work today, right? Whether or not we're going to do a good job while we're at work that day, right? How creative are we going to be? How many ideas are we going to come up with? How are we going to contribute and participate? And so when I started digging deeper with my clients, I realized that these emotional blocks that they have to their productivity go way back into childhood. And so I'm helping them uncover what those emotional blocks are, and then how that feeds into all these other aspects in their lives, whether it's how they eat or how they cope with emotional triggers as they come up, right? Saying, well, I'm going to eat this cookie, or I'm going to eat this chocolate bar, I'm going to drink this bottle of wine, right? Because I'm feeling really bad right now. And then they're not productive the next day. And so it's working through all of the, emotional things, and then realizing how it affects how you think about yourself, how you treat yourself, what your expectations for yourself are, and then how you engage in relationships, whether that's friendships, partnerships, romantic relationship. When I say partnerships, I mean like business partnerships, romantic relationships, how you parent, right? All of that feeds into your emotions. And so, it's just like if you have an argument, right, with your significant other, and then you get up and you go to work that day, right? How productive are you going to be? Mm-hmm. And then if that triggers you from something that you saw maybe your parents do when you were a kid, and now you've got an emotional trigger that's now kicking off something else in your relationship that's now feeding into your day, and now you're just like, why don't I ever get anything done? And now you're beating yourself up over it, right? So as an integrative productivity coach, I cover every single aspect of your life and your business and help you put all the pieces together so that you really understand what's blocking you, so you can clear it, move through it, and then move into productivity and achieve all the success that you want.
That's awesome. So why did you choose to do this? Why are you doing what you're doing?
It's funny, but, a lot of times, I think most often, people who coach are people who have been through an experience themselves. And so for me, I realized that was me completely 100%, and I was in a failing marriage, and I had I wouldn't say it was a terrible childhood, but it was difficult. My parents divorced very early. It was a nasty custody battle, and so I grew up with two separate single parents, and then having all of my emotional traumas that created triggers in my own life, and then getting married very young. And then, it was just all these little things. And one day I woke up and I was like, I don't want to be like this anymore. How do I fix this? Right. And so I had to work on me. And at the time I didn't know where to go, and that's what really kicked this off for me was that, you can go to a productivity coach, right? Like a traditional productivity coach, and they go over like the numbers and go do this and go do that. And here's your reward and punishment based system. And I want you to write me a letter to your kids that says why they're not going to Disney because you didn't achieve your goals. And then I'm going to mail it if you don't do what you're supposed to do. It's like, I'm sorry, but that threat is not going to work for me, and it doesn't work for a lot of people. So it was, seeing that productivity coaching was that, and realizing that's what it did not need to be. And then realizing that when I went to a marriage counselor or a therapist, you would sit there and then they listen to your problems and what do you think about that? And we didn't really go anywhere with it, And then I was having anxiety and panic attacks. So I go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, here, take this medication. And I'm like, well, I don't want to take that, So it seemed like everywhere I went was trying to fix a symptom, but not cure the problem. And so I had to dive deep, not only into myself, but into every self-help, everything I could find to try and figure out what my problem was so that I could move forward. And when I did, I started changing other things. I started changing how I talked to myself, how I treated myself, how I thought about myself. And then I also changed how I was eating and what I did to cope when an emotional trigger would come up for me or when I was really stressed or tense, right? And I was able to fix all of these issues for myself. And it wasn't just that, because time management fed into that, right? I always felt like I was putting out fires but never getting anywhere. So I was able to adjust my time management and make my life really super like tight and organized, right? And being able to keep up with the household and keep my car clean and stuff, that stuff came together too. And I realized how my emotions truly were the root of all of my productivity issues, every single one of them. And so when I was able to fix them for myself, I had already been coaching other people as a productivity coach. I did it a little differently from the traditional way because it just didn't feel right to me. But then when I was able to fix these things for myself, I started asking deeper questions with my clients. And I started asking them like, hey, like, tell me about your childhood. Do you mind telling me about how your relationship is going right now? How's your diet? And when they started talking to me about those things and we started working on every issue, the productivity problems went away and they were able to achieve all their goals. And it was so enlightening to see, like, it affected everybody the exact same way as how it affected me. And I didn't want people to go through that anymore. And I didn't want them to feel like there was nowhere to go the way that I had. And so I really wanted to be that person where they could go to. And then at the same time, really shift that paradigm of what it means to be a productivity coach and help people to understand what truly drives productivity, and that productivity is rooted in emotion.
I mean, you've done so much great work on healing yourself, and then now you're translating it into your clients, and you're one of the most organized people I know.
Thank you.
What do you see over and over again as like a really big mistake that, either clients or other people you see do?
I think the biggest mistake is thinking that they can like hustle and get there, Like they think that all of their goals, if they just like rush to it and just block everything out, they'll get there. And it's really the exact opposite. It's like they have to slow down, sometimes even stop completely, right? And like reset everything. And then that is what allows them to truly move forward. A lot of the productivity blocks that people have in their emotions are things that have been buried down for so long that, and buried because it's like, like that hurt, I don't want to feel that. And so they leave it, like they keep shoving it down. And whenever they get a trigger that kicks it off, and then they start like getting emotional for no reason. And they're like, why am I so angry about my husband saying this thing to me? Like, I don't know why he said this. And why am I so upset about this? That was so ridiculous, And what happened is we just hit an emotional trigger that reminded us of something that we buried, right? And so it's like a lump, like a big knot, right? And we just keep it here. And every time it tries to come up, we're like, nope, go back down. And that's the thing that continues to show up, right? So when you're trying to block everything out, like you're just putting blinders on, like I'm just going to move full steam ahead and get to my goal, you're actually preventing yourself from getting there. It's like being on a treadmill and hanging the carrot out in front, but you're never able to catch it.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good point about, the hustle. Like that was sort of my problem when I first started my business, was thinking like, I just need to work like 60 hours a week and just keep going. But eventually you're like, no, that's not sustainable.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No. And you don't get to where you're wanting to go.
Yeah.
I've achieved much more in my life and in my business, achieving my goals, everything, working 20 hours a week than I ever did working 60. And I've done that. That's something that's really hard for people to imagine, right? They're like, how can I slow down and actually achieve more? But that's how it works.
Absolutely. So what do you say is your zone of genius?
tying in all those pieces, seeing how it all connects, because I think that that's what really has set me apart from what I've seen with other people, the people that I went to go see when I needed help. And even, I've coached a lot of realtors, and the thing that I kept seeing was that, they just had the exact same problem that I did, right? And they would just the same thing, hustle, 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 grind, 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 to let me get there. And then their lives were falling apart, and they had such a high rate of divorce, and they were, at their kid's soccer game on the sidelines, walking back and forth with their phone in their hand. And, it's like they were missing all the moments with their family, yet claiming this is who I'm doing it for, my family, but missing everything, and it's just, that's heartbreaking to me. So being able to see how all these pieces connect, and then being able to reconnect an individual with what they truly want to achieve, and why they want to achieve it,
Mm-hmm. That's really powerful. Tell me a little bit about your personal life, your family, because you have a really big family.
We do. Yeah. So my husband and I are yours, mine, and ours. And I told you just a few minutes ago, I got married really young. I was married when I was 20. I wasn't pregnant or anything. I just got married when I was 20. And we actually had lived together for 2 years already. And I was, I'd been through so many divorces with my parents. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And so we had 2 kids when I was 25, and another one when I was 28. And then we split up when they were 5 and 2. And it was the best decision for both of us, but it was a hard one to make, to be able to say, okay, this is not working, and to really separate your family. And so I spent 6 years completely single, which was very tough, being a single mom and self-employed at the same time, through the biggest crash in the real estate market ever. But then I met my husband, and it was funny because we had both taken a job at an apartment community, and he was a maintenance manager and I was a leasing consultant. And we met on the first day and literally fell in love with each other instantly. And he had 2 kids from a previous marriage. And so 3 weeks later, only 3 weeks, after only one date where we brought all the kids together with us, we moved into a 3-bedroom apartment with 4 children and 2 dogs. And it was just crazy. And
you guys are the real life Brady Bunch.
Totally. And so it was like yours and mine. And then when our oldest turned 17, my husband was just like, I love being a dad, and I just hate that it's almost over, and I'm just not ready for it to be over. We just need to have another baby. And I'm like, man, you are crazy. We see light at the end of the tunnel. So we had another baby. And so now we have a almost 24-year-old in January. We have 2 20-year-olds, one his, one mine. They're 3 months apart. We have one that will be 17 in January. She is our only girl. And then we have a little boy who will be 6 years old in 3 weeks. It's been a handful.
Yeah, it totally is. But that's what's so impressive. And that's why I was saying, like, you're one of the most organized people I know, most productive, just because you're able to manage like a household of, kids and dogs and, the whole family thing.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, really do, be so successful in your business. So
thank you. Yeah.
What was the impetus for even starting the Limitless Collaborative? Because you're already doing such incredible work in your own business. So why start something like the Limitless Collaborative?
I really wanted to build something, again, kind of going back to my original mission. I want to shift the paradigm on what it means to be productive, why you want to be productive, and how you're getting there. And what that coaching looks like. And I've just seen so many people that really need that type of coaching, not productivity coaching specifically, but coaching in every aspect of their life and business, and seeing how it all fits together, And I just thought, how amazing would it be to be able to create something that was more than a program, like there's so many courses and programs and stuff out there, but I wanted to create something that was more than that and involved lots of different people and different perspectives, and put a group of people together, a group of coaches together, really, that could offer so much love and support and growth to really shift that paradigm, to change what it looks like, to help them get back in touch with who they are and what they want, and how they're going to get there by not rushing through with blinders on, but really connecting deeply to who they are and what they want to build and create in the world.
What do you think is the
Go ahead.
biggest benefit to joining the Limitless Collaborative?
I think the biggest benefit is getting support at every single level, and then being able to have private sessions periodically, with a different coach each time, not having to be tied down to one person, but saying, here, I have this group of coaches. Like, who's your coach? I have 5 coaches. And be like, what? You got 5 coaches? But it's like we all have this different specialty. And it's like we're just shining all of this onto all of these people and giving them support for everything, because we've been there, right? We've all been there. And so we know what they need, and we're providing all of it. And I don't know anybody that's providing support at this level, but there needs to be, there needs to be. So I feel like we created something that just hasn't existed before. And I don't think people really tie in their productivity to their emotions, and seeing how wellness and productivity go hand in hand. And we've done that. We've built that. We've created that. And that is absolutely the number one reason why people should join the program.